Kind of works out quite well, that dynamic, because then you always get the shots and you're still having fun doing it.
Yeah. What made you want to do like projects instead of fishing though?
The thing is I've kind of very early on realized that all the stuff that, we spending pretty much 300 days a year on the water, that it's inevitable that we were going to see stuff on the water that nobody else get to see, whether on the water, nature, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of just figured carrying a camera around and just started filming as we go along. That was kind of what just really attracted me to, because I knew that, even if you catch a GT and you catch another GT the next day, there's not a single moment that is the same. It's all kind of different every time it happens. It's a different scenario, different moment, different everything. So you just couldn't really get enough. And one of the things is I always, when you try and explain to clients what you are planning for that day, you have all those memories from in the background that you've done before, and that's kind of what kind of initiated the thing is rather than wanting to tell them about it, I can now show them what's actually happened. So that's what kind of initiated all of it. And yeah, it's worked out well.
And then you just got straight into, you didn't have the time to film and edit, so because you were so committed to fishing then.
Yeah, the only thing is with the filming, excuse me, with the filming thing, I still really love and enjoy it, like getting the shots and stuff. The only thing is that a lot of the companies that I started working for, because I became a brand ambassador for them, they kind of wanted me to, rather than trying to film the stuff, be on camera, which is something, like I said, I'm not a big fan of being on camera. I'm not a big, I don't like the camera stuff. No, I appreciate the kind words, but no, I know there's some great guys on camera, but so that's kind of how it transitioned. It's still, for me, and again, it's like with you guys, I know it's super, super hard work filming and stuff, but getting that magic shot, that barracuda coming out of the water today, like just getting that money shot is like catching an amazing fish yourself.
Yeah, I think for me, I get just as much enjoyment spending time with fishermen and capturing it all as I do fishing myself, because I'll catch a fish and then I'll be like, oh, I wish I got that on film.
Yeah,
that happens a lot.
Yeah, and you're spending it with like-minded people. You're not gonna, like I said, you're fortunate enough now. You've built your career where you can spend with the majority of people and the field that you like. Whereas, that's the tough break for most people in the filming industry is they have to, whereas in our industry, as big as it is, it's kind of the money isn't really there to be able to make a good living out of it. You can get by, but and that's why you have to sometimes venture off stuff you don't want to do. In filming all the other stuff, I suppose, is whatever pays the bills, but you're definitely not in it as much as you are like when you're like what you guys are doing now. I can see like getting a thorn stuck in your toe underneath your toenail and going through all of that. Yeah. Again, I wish a camera crew could film you guys filming all of that.
I've always wanted budget just to have a BTS filmer, just walking around following the camera guys around, because there's so much shit that does go in behind the scenes and that does happen that you don't notice. Yeah. Like that story was interesting. I might as well tell it. Like we had to do a 6.5K walk down the beach to try and find these hippos which Gabon, which is where we are now, is famous for, the surfing hippos. They feed along the beach, along the grass, and then they jump into the surf, run down the coast, and then come across the beach back and walk back into a lagoon. So it's like one of the only, I think it's the only place, or one of the only
place they do it, yeah.
There you go, yeah. So we had to get up at 3:30 in the morning, take a 30-minute boat ride to the mouth, walk 6.5 kilometers to this lagoon edge and sit there in the dark and wait.
In soft sand. Soft sand.
It was brutal, man. It was like 6.5 Ks felt like 16 Ks. Like it was not nice. And to make it worse, we did it all bare feet and walked, and within like the first 50 meters of me walking, I kicked a palm frond and the spine went under the toenail on my third toe and snapped off under there. And we had nothing on us to get it out. So I had to walk the whole 6.5 Ks there, film everything, all that sort of stuff, and then the 6.5 Ks back with a cinema camera and a telephoto lens, a tripod, and a backpack full of shit. It wasn't nice.
Yeah, like 50 pounds worth of gear.
Literally, but it was worth it because we ended up getting the hippos walking, plenty of hippos in the lagoon. We got monkeys eating palm nuts right on the beach, which was epic. And then, we got the very last one hippo across the beach in the pitch black where we couldn't film. And then we got the very last hippo at like 8 o'clock in the morning. And where we caught, I was filming the monkeys, turned around and the hippo was coming out of the water. So I spun around, ran back and filmed it. It's epic. Yeah. So that'll definitely make the cut. And then walking back, there's this infamous bull elephant called Frank. And he's been responsible.
Frank the tank.
Yeah. He's been responsible for a couple of tramplings in the village, I think.
Wow.
Said maybe kill people, I'm not sure. Caused a lot of dramas and stuff. I think in Gumba, in the town, he was there for a while too, I think, and knocked a few people around. But he's like notorious for when he sees you, he just tries to kill you, and you have to like along the coast, like run into the water chest deep. And he was like up on the edge, it's sort of hard to explain, but up on a grassy edge. We walked past him in the middle of the night sleeping.
I didn't even know they did that.
Me neither. I thought it was dead.
Yeah.
I thought it was dead. I thought, no, a fucking elephant's dead and someone's going to cut the ivory out.
Like the start of a joke, how does an elephant sleep?
Yeah.
Like, nobody knows. Who knows?
And it was fully laying down sideways in the sea spray, like right on the edge of the high tide mark, basically. It was weird.
That's wild.
In the pitch black, and literally like turned sideways. And I'm like, oh, it was like 5-10 meters away. There was like a giant bull elephant there. But we walked back past, because you could see him from the lagoon like 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers down the coast. You see him get up and wake up for the morning. And he's standing there right in the path that we had to walk back. And we get back there and he notices us and that comes charging down, but he wouldn't step over the lip onto the sand, I assume because the sand was so, he would have sunk in there, it's quite soft or something, I don't know, or he couldn't have got back up, I'm not sure, but he wouldn't step over. So we were able to actually like walk up so close, like within 10 meters of him. And I got some of the most like incredible elephant footage and photos I've ever, like of any animal I've ever shot in my life. So it was worth the spine under the toenail.
Risk it for the biscuit.
And then to come back here and get the boys to pull it out.
Do you think when he woke up, do you think he was just waking up, or did he smell you guys or something? You think did he kind of
we ended up
realized you guys were there?
Yeah, I don't think he realised, because the wind was blowing straight onto him, so he probably should have, but he might have been in a really deep sleep or something, which is why I thought he was dead, because I was like, he didn't even move and we were 90 degrees to him. The wind was coming straight from the coast through us onto him, so I thought he would have smelt us for sure. But we walked all the way to the hippo lagoon and then he woke up. So in the pitch black, he didn't see us or smell us at all.
That's why I think like with all that, like that story itself, and I think with the filming as much as fishing, you just have to be the forever optimist. You gotta like, okay, this happens, but when does it happen? Pretty much never, but maybe. Yeah. It's always like that scene in Dumb and Dumber where he's like, there's a chance of 1 in a million. So you mean there's a chance? That's what we live on. That's what we thrive on.
Fishermen and hunters are the same, I think, for that.
Yeah.
Like and when you can't go to places like this and expect everything to run smoothly. It just doesn't happen. Yeah, I think.
And I also think the thing that you guys have done amazingly well is that not just we've been kind of guilty on, and I spoke to the guys earlier this week, is that we've and I've been guilty of it too, is we've made these things particularly fishing wise just seem too simple and very focused on the fishing itself. But getting more of the other stuff kind of paints a better picture, even if it's like the struggles with the fishing, but you got nature and all these things that you can experience. And again, now you at least tell people the real story and not just the highlight reel.
Yeah, I agree. I think like here is one of the most incredible places I've ever been, because literally the Congo is just over there.
Yeah.
It's like, and literally this lodge is incredible to be where it is, because it is literally in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like it is literally like, I'll let you explain how to get here, but I'll explain how to get here from Australia. You fly Sydney to Dubai, 14 hours, Dubai to Abidjan, which is like on the L shape of Africa. It's on the up under the top side of that. I can't remember. I'm not very good with the African countries. But then from there, that's 11 hours from Dubai to Abidjan, and 5 hours from Abidjan to Libreville, which is the capital of Gabon.
I didn't even know it was that route.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then in Libreville, from there you catch how long was that? We catch a charter flight that fits 10, 12 people? 19 people, I think the little plane was.
Yeah, we were about, plus the one of the Gamba people is like, how many? So 11 hours, whatever.
Yeah.
No, 8, 9 of us.
Yeah, and it was like 2 hours or something down the coast, land, get picked up in old Land Cruiser full drive. How long was the drive here? Like an hour and a half?
Probably another hour and a half, yeah.
and then jump in boats, and then drive another hour via boat in the lagoon up to here.
Yeah.
Just to get here. And then there's a whole friggin' like lodge here that's been operating for like 10, 15 years or something. It's crazy.
Even that little hut that's down closer to the river, you just kind of the sheer logistics and mechanics of it don't make sense that things are there.
No.
And you kind of see things like that all over the world. Like there's this little almost looks like a church on top of a mountain in Mag Bay that's there. That's like one of the things or like sites you drive past every day, and it's up this mountain, and you just look at it, you're like, 'cause the funny thing is like just outside that little church there's a like a long drop. And I was like, I always say like that's probably the long drop with the best view on the planet. It just sits there overlooking the ocean. So you're just on the throne there, just like what a chill place to be. So, but yeah, it's amazing what humans can do. And I think because we spend so much time in like civilization, everything seems like it should be easy. But these guys, like, it could have taken them a year to build this. This place could have taken them 3 years to build. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's just that determination that they wanted here, and yeah, it's pretty special.
You can tell it's been built over time too. Like they've built it enough to get it operating, and then they've added slowly over time to get it to how it is. Because there's like a full-blown jetty and everything here.
Yeah.
Circling back to the whole, it never goes 100% correctly on these things, and you've got to just be a chronic optimist. You've done you do trips like this all of the time, and you have done for most of your career.
Yeah.
Do you find that it's the case on nearly every trip that you go on?
Yeah, it's so it's we always say also like fly fishing is a great equalizer. Like you can be on the top, and then they'll humble you and take you back down. And again, that's that abusive relationship that we like, where we just kind of like the turmoil and getting tormented. Look, I'm still like the only problem is like when I have a tougher trip and it's harder, I kind of reflect on other trips where I've done overly good. So I had a trip to Mexico just like at the beginning stages of COVID. It was like August of 2020, and we went there, and it was one of those trips where the stars just aligned perfectly. There wasn't a lot of people coming off a new moon spring tide, and like for that week alone, there was 4 of us. We caught 52 permit and between 4 anglers, which is like absolutely just like we've got a photo where myself and the client that I went with, where we were both holding 2 permit in hand, which is just obscene, because we were just like net, and then a guide would hold it in the net and catch another one, guide put it in the net. So and then I kind of reflect on my next few permit fishing trips, and I'm like, oh, that one's skunked, that one's skunked, that one's skunked. I was like, okay, cool, I'm paying my dues for that one. Yeah, just all levels out. And but I think like places, there are definitely certain places where you definitely have a higher likelihood, even regardless of your ability. Like you can have places where, I mean, even that, I was talking to Ewan last night. I mean, that one of that giant snapper that's on one of those photos there, a client caught it. He chucked that fly in like 15 meters in the water, and just like one of those guys that's just happy-go-lucky, and boom, he catches a snapper of a lifetime.
37 kilos? 40 kilos?
Yeah. Just
monster.
Yeah, and I mean, catching a cabero off the beach of that size on fly is just something that shouldn't even happen. The two doesn't connect. But that's why, like we said before, you just got to go on these trips and believe and be a forever optimist. And that's the other thing also why people, just not to veer off too much about it, but like, the tackle setups that we have, like there's always been this whole thing about, even that people said it's not fly fishing when you fish above 20-pound leader for fly fishing, the snobs. But like in this case, like if you're not 100% prepared to go to war, like you need to have 80, 100-pound backing. Let's say you have 300 yards on there. I'm always of the opinion that I'd have rather thicker and less backing than more and a thinner breaking strain, because if the fish is 500 yards out, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have that. And then your fly line now, a lot of the fly line companies, like, I mean, I've Cortland now, we've got the 50+ line, which is really like, it's got a very strong core. And then your leader, another 100-pound fluorocarbon or 120. Most of the time as South Africans, we work on millimeters. I think Australians might do too, with just more millimeters of the line than the actual breaking strain. And most of the time it's like 100, 120-pound leaders. And then the fly, even the hooks, we were talking about the hooks the other day. Like, even some of the hooks that seem to be premium quality hooks just doesn't last you. I mean, Thomas's tarpon last night, I mean, he jabbed that thing really hard, felt that it was hooked up, fly came out, and he actually bent the tip off the point of the hook, so he hooked him in the bone. So yeah, there's just no margin for error. So, and even you could be the best fly fisherman on the planet, this place will humble you and beat you down, and it's trying to this week for sure.
It definitely hasn't, and it's been good tides and good weather and everything, hasn't it? Just really...
Yeah, I mean, another thing that a lot of people, when they go on these trips, they always want to know what's the best dates to go on, what's the best time of the season. And a lot of times the outfitters they block out a specific part of the season that is historically the best time frame, whether it be from October all the way through to March. So this week here, we were on a new moon equinox tide, which, I mean, it's even when I'm back home in Texas or I've been in South Africa or in Seychelles, it's a really good tide for predatory fish to move around. But for some reason also this week, again, like one of those other curveballs, there wasn't a lot of mullet around, or a lot of bait fish, and nobody knows why. Again, it's just questions. You just can't answer, and that's why it's been a little bit tough. I mean, the artificial and the bait, and we've got some fantastic fish on the fly, but definitely not what this, like, as far as this place is known for, and that I know it can produce.
I think, like, with people, like, if you come to this place with the expectation that you're guaranteed to catch trophy fish, you're destined to fail and have a shit time, I think.
Yeah.
Because there's so much more, like you said, within the fishing here. Like, even I'm just looking now, like, in those lampshades, there's sunbirds nesting.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck sees that in their house? That's literally like where we eat dinner.
Yeah.
It's like there's sunbirds like nesting there, and like elephants walk through camp of a nighttime, and like all that sort of stuff. And people don't, I think, appreciate that side of it in these remote places either.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got one spot here called, like, with my dad and I now nicknamed Hippo Hole, where the hippo keeps sitting, where it was like, and again, that other night when we kind of came close and you guys jumped out to film those elephants. I mean, again, one of those things that you don't really necessarily go to Florida and you see an elephant next to the water. So you might see a big old human being, but that's about it. But yeah, I mean, it's very special, and I suppose even like I said, even if it's sometimes a struggle in my own mind to get beyond the fishing, it's I've definitely realized, and you start sounding more and more like an old fart, where you just start appreciating all the added elements of the trip. The anticipation will never get old. And even like I said, with when sometimes, like, I had a trip to Mexico with some of my friends from Yeti recently, and I also got humbled pretty good there by the fish. And but again, just the camaraderie and just spending the time with those people kind of made the trip way better. And I mean, as hard to pull as it is to swallow, not really doing good with a permit, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think, and there's silver linings to all of that sort of stuff too. Like, it makes you want to come back if you've got the right mindset. And
Yeah.
I think, like, I don't know anyone that is like a diehard fisher, because I'm the same as you. Like, have fished for my entire life. My earliest memories is fishing, and I was like one of those people in my late teens, early 20s that just like didn't give a fuck about anything else but fishing.
Yeah.
And just didn't care about sunsets or animals or none of that shit. Just fish from daylight all the way until dark, and that was it. And now I'm the same, where I was like, I'd rather go out and catch one nice fish and just appreciate everything else.
Yeah.
I think, like, everybody goes through that stage. When did it sort of change for you?
You start catching, I think especially, I mean, it definitely, I think when you get older and you realize that it just not everything revolves around one specific thing, I think it just kind of comes with age. I mean, it was definitely like, it's not too long ago, I'd probably still say 5, 6, 7 years ago, where it started, I started appreciating even stuff more. I think it might have been almost closer to when I started guiding on the Texas coast when we moved to the US, because I didn't know what to expect when I went to that fishery, and then went there the first time and started guiding there and very focused on the fishing, and then started getting clients on my boat, and they'll start noticing birds and stuff, and I'm like, I noticed that the clients are there to fish, obviously, but the thing that I need to take away from them is that they notice stuff that I, not even with my obsessiveness with fishing, that I didn't take enough note of. So I'm like, oh, maybe I should need to pay a little bit more attention to all that stuff. So again, maybe something that I learned from my clients, for sure. And yeah, I mean, we just need to have an open mind frame to when we go to these spots.
Yeah, well, I guess it's the same thing too. Like, if you want to go and just catch tarpon, you would just stay in the States and catch tarpon.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to catch tarpon potentially 100+ pound land-based in a very like unique and special place that's probably not gonna be here for not forever. You come to Gabon, for example, and you get the whole experience of the whole thing.
And the thing that very few people realize, and again the US being like a lot of the tarpon fishermen in the US, and I'm generalizing now a little bit because there are definitely like some of the pioneers that have I think some of the guys that wanted to come to Africa to catch big tarpon, but like very few people know that some of the world's biggest tarpon is from the African coastline. Like the current world record is from Guinea-Bissau. So and I mean unofficial world records definitely from Gabon, and it's a place pretty close by. And there's been fish in the 200-pound range in this area caught, and so it's kind of gone a little bit under the radar. I think maybe it's just kind of the methods that they use. It's not the classic Florida when it comes down the line, which is that place is very unique to that. But I think again you might have that there, but here we have elephants and kind of wildlife and all that stuff. And I still, there's a little bit of a thing. Sight fishing is incredible because when you cast at a fish, your heart races, you have that anticipation. But there's also something for me when you're casting a fly into like just a piece of water, you might just kind of the way you read it, not necessarily knowing exactly what's in there, and you go tight, and it could be anything. Like there's still like that. I still enjoy that quite a lot. Which again, not for everybody, but just that endless opportunities is just something that I really search for.
I think learning like casting like constantly all session is a hard thing to do in itself, and then do it in the dark and be able to like do it by feel essentially, like distance control and like the swing, because it's the current pumps here like insane, and being able to manage line and mend and all of that sort of stuff in the dark. I think that's a whole like another skill in itself rather than sight casting as well.
Exactly. And then we've caught those big bull sharks, and it's funny when I was standing with Ewan on the sandbank last night, pitch dark, waves coming to about waist deep across us, and like at that same time Ewan's like, man, I kind of don't really like these bull sharks. They sometimes they go really shallow. I'm like, we are standing pretty deep enough for them to swim in for sure. So your mind starts racing, something touches your leg, you have a jump scare. It's it's definitely. And I mean, some of the other places these guys do, like Cameroon, you also kind of fish in the nighttime for those big Nile perch. And at that time, it'll be like quiet. You can just close your eyes and you keep fishing, and then like suddenly poof, you hear a hippo that could be like 50 feet away from you. So it's the fisheries that these guys from African waters do are adventurous. Definitely something that's I think somebody needs to do once in their life, and they may get hooked to it for sure.
I think so. I think like being a well-rounded fly fisherman, like there's skills here that apply elsewhere as well. Like I haven't done a great deal of it, but like surely like how you read current mending heavy like 10 and 12 weights. That's a skill in itself, I think. And then even just how the flies and stuff here are very different to what I've seen for a lot of other tarpon sort of stuff. Like there's a few Florida looking tarpon flies there, but the ones they use here are like what do they call those ones with the deer hair on the front?
There's like peanuts. A lot of like peanuts, and it's like basically like a giant muddler that they use with the deer hair stacked. And I think what happens at that, to me personally, it's a fly. It's like an advanced Dino deceiver. Yeah, there we go. That's a peanut. It's a. I think the reason why it's so effective, especially when you're fishing darker water, is that the deer hair really like vibrates, and just it's again, the majority of the material on this fly is natural fibers, except for obviously the flash. But you can't substitute natural fibers for anything. It just moves so much better in the water, and just tracks in the way. It's just everything about it is just fishy.
Have you found that with a lot of fly fishing, like you prefer natural fibers for most of the stuff that you do?
Yeah, and I'll take those like peanuts / and Dino deceivers. I'll take around the planet for me for predatory fish. I use them in Texas for tarpon. I'll use them for the bull reds. I'll use them for any kind of. I mean, we use them for those Nile perch. Use them for tiger fish. Yeah,
peacocks would eat that, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah. Actually, peacock bass, dorado, anything that murders things will murder that thing.
Eat a peanut.
So no, it's definitely very effective. And the funny thing and the interesting thing about fishing at nighttime is just how slow you fish the fly. For a predatory fish, you fish it extremely slow.
Yeah, even in the current, like pumping current, you're still fishing like super slow. It's interesting.
I'm sure a barrow would eat that too.
100%. I'm taking a couple home.
Yeah. Oh, I think you guys use something similar for those big Murray cod too.
Yeah, very similar. Very similar, like a subsurface muddler type thing. A lot of like articulated, like game changers and stuff too, I think.
Yeah.
And then big brush flies as well. I haven't done a great deal of it, but I've done a little bit. Yeah. Run me through your timeline, because I heard in the boat today like you lived in the UK for a while and all that sort of stuff. So how did you get from a kid in South Africa to what you're doing now in Texas?
Yeah, I mean, so a long story short, again, like with my dad, just grew up fishing, and what happened is I mean, I definitely was obsessed about it. Whenever there was a moment, I just fished and all that, and it was my final year in school. I met a friend of mine, a good friend of mine now, Keith Rosenis, just randomly in a little town in South Africa, East London. And then it was funny when I saw him the first time. He looked weathered, but he was a young chap, so he looked weathered. And when I actually started speaking to him the first time, he had just completed a season in Russia. He was guiding on the Panoy, so obviously he was just smashing vodka and just Russian things. Yeah. And then he kind of told me his story on how he got to where he was, and he had already taken a few trips to the Seychelles, and he had established a company that's starting to take people to the Seychelles. And I said to him, like, how do I get this job? This sounds like it's not even possible. And then he said to me, go work in a shop a little bit, get some experience, and then you can give me a call back when you're ready. And I did exactly that. I finished actually my degree in university, and then went to the UK, which worked in a little shop called Follows. What happened just before that, I went to go work in a newspaper, marketing for a newspaper, and very first day one, I had worked hard and I took a break. Everybody went for lunch, but I stayed back and I was like looking through fishing photos on the internet. And as I was doing that, the CEO of the company walked in and thought I was just fucking around the whole time, just on the website. And then he gave his whole speech on how I have more potential than that, and I'm screwing around and blah, blah, blah. They tried to call me the next day. I didn't even go to the office. I walked straight to Follows. They didn't even advertise any jobs available. I said, you guys ever work for me? And luckily enough, they just, they said, we've got a job open for you as a salesman, and worked on the floor and managed to build up the experience. And then basically I literally sent Keith an email, not a little bit less than a year later. And he said, look, if you can get South Africa for an interview, we'd just like to just kind of have a chat again about the experience and stuff. I'd obviously fly fished around the UK a little bit, and then went for the interview, and they literally said, can you go to the Seychelles in 2 weeks' time? I was like, of course. So I just went back to the UK, packed all my bags, shipped it over, went to South Africa, and then flew to the Seychelles and literally started from there. And then how it kind of built up from destination to destination is like, I always wanted to just keep seeing new places. So I managed to meet a guy that was looking for a guide in Norway. So I started doing, because before the Seychelles, I wanted to guide in Russia for Atlantic salmon, but didn't get that. So I went to Norway, got that job, and then got a job in Mongolia. The small little story about how I got the job in Mongolia, I was guiding Dan Vermillion from Sweetwater Travel in the Seychelles, him and his nephew. And at one moment we had a session where we were fishing for bumpet parrotfish. We had hooked a bunch and got smoked, and eventually the last one we hooked, we had it on for a long time. I knew we had it solidly hooked, and it went over the lagoon edge and around a coral head. And I just asked he's like, just if he could hold my backpack, I want to swim after it. And then at the same time, there was a shark coming down the lagoon edge, and I literally like jumped in, and Dan shouted at me, it's not worth it, it's not worth the fish, the shark's coming. Like, I don't care. Went around, Baba, we landed the fish, and as we landed the fish, took the photos and released it, he's like, could you guide in Mongolia for me? So got that job like that. So for about half a dozen, about 6 years, what I was doing is I would be guiding in the Seychelles for three and a half months, and then I go back home, change, get all my other stuff, go to Norway for three and a half months, Mongolia for a month to a month and a half, and then finish it up the year. So between 300 and 320 days a year. And that's where Yeti found out, and some of the companies that I worked for kind of found out about it, and I managed to just kind of keep building up from there.
How did you promote yourself? Just through socials?
Yeah, well, I only had my first social media account in. I had a bit of Facebook, but that was not really any. At that point, it wasn't really marketable. My first, only my, so my first social media Instagram post I had was in 2014 when I then went with Keith and them, Alphonse Fishing Company, back to Cosmo after the piracy thing happened. And what happened is my first photo was me and the three other guides holding urine samples in our hand because we had to do drug tests before we go and get our GOPs for the Seychelles. So that was kind of my first social media post, and then I just kind of put on it because, I mean, with all the stuff, the main objective wasn't really to be an ambassador for anybody. I mean, I just kind of wanted to work in the industry and meet friends. But I always see now, like, I think the mistake a lot of kids make working with companies is that they more want to promote themselves instead. When you're a badass, the companies will find you. You just got to do your thing. They'll find you, keep grinding. It'll happen. One thing will lead to another. Somebody will know somebody else. So I think that's kind of how I did it. Even when I met the Yeti boys for the first time, they were just super nice, and I just saw them more as friends. And then that just relationship evolved in 10 years now with them, and they're just the nicest people on the planet. And so with all the other companies, I think also the important thing, being a brand ambassador for companies, is not to brand up too much. You kind of try as much to believe in a company and stick with them, because companies also notice when you just kind of follow the either free stuff or money or that stuff. So yeah,
I think it's like authenticity.
Yeah.
Not plugging a thing just because you're paid or given free shit to do so. It's like if this fly company gave me a heap of these flies and expected me to promote it, but they were fucking shit. Yeah. You shouldn't promote them. Like, or you should be honest with don't publicize that they're shit. Don't be an asshole, but like tell the company that they need improving.
Yes.
And I think there's value in that as well. Whereas like I think a lot of people like push product in people's faces, say things that they probably shouldn't say that aren't technically true, and force people to buy stuff, and people will only buy it once and then realize they've been gypped, and it ruins your reputation in the long term, I think.
For sure, and being a brand ambassador for a company, you also need to represent that company in your own capacity wherever you go. So you also can't be a complete hooligan. Some of the guys like it. I mean, we're now my newest company working for Monster. I mean, they've got some pretty extreme athletes and hooligans there, but you still need to be respectful and still realize that you're the face of a company, and still see it that way.
Yeah, I think so too. And you said that they found you all authentically, like you just were doing your thing.
Well, I think I was grinding as like similar to you guys. Like, so when I was in my off seasons from guiding, I would be either editing the photos that I had or editing the videos. So I think the biggest break for me from just kind of being out in the industry wise was when I did the Gangsters of the Flat. And I think what made it special there is I first did a first cut of Gangsters of the Flat for a South African film tour, and I don't know, Tom Bai from the Drake somehow got hold of it or saw something about it, and he emailed me when I was in Norway. He's like, dude, can you just put something together for the Drake Awards? I think it was 2012. And it was a little tough because at that time I was guiding in Norway, and in Norway you guide 18 hours a day. There's no sun, the sun doesn't go down, so your clients want to fish 24/7. So what I would do is I would guide, and then when the clients are having dinner, I mean, sometimes the dinners were quite extensive. Norwegians like drinking the aquavit and eating a long dinner. So I would literally guide and edit the whole time. That's like and I mean, I would sometimes just like almost stand falling asleep, but I knew how much it meant, and I mean, I'll sleep when I'm dead kind of thing. And then I edited the piece, Gangster of the Flat. I sent it to him. I actually also just sent him like, look, dude, do you want me to cut those swear words out? Because I know there's a few of them in there. He's like, no, just keep it legit. And the one thing I have to say that I would have loved to be there is that he said when they aired it on the big screen at the Drake Awards, apparently people were like just standing on the table, just like super stoked, screaming and shouting and just having a blast. And then that won best saltwater at the Drake Awards, which is pretty sweet. And then I kind of there was definitely the Seychelles was on the map at that time, big time. So and then I just kind of really enjoyed it and like enjoyed the editing and really showing the stuff there, and just kind of kept on. Then I made one called the Aqua Hulk that also won an award, and then we did the Chanos film for the milkfish. That one did really well also, just because it was so unique. We were catching milkfish on the flats. and then did African Tiger, and there was like Glorious Bastards. There was one called Yakutia, which we did this exploratory trip into Siberia looking for a Russian she-fish, a Nelma. We literally on a 18-day voyage there with the most badass exploratory, like we've had like backup helicopter, we had like boats and stuff that we explored all these rivers with. We only found those Nelmas for 4 hours in the whole trip. Ilya and his friends now have worked it out much better where to catch them, but managed to actually get 4 of them, and I think Ilya got a couple, and that was it. That was the whole trip. We did catch a lot of other stuff, pike and all that, but again, it just shows you go to some remote places, you think it's gonna just be easy, but it's not. I mean, it doesn't necessarily guarantee you catching fish. So yeah, and I just made a whole documentary on that. I mean, that place was so remote. We picked up one of the guy, Rock. He went to go and I think he went to go take a shit, and he came back with this giant mammoth tusk. And just picked it up along the riverbed like it was nothing. We were all still joking. Jesus, you shit that thing out. Again, that doesn't, I think that what made also kind of what went around the industry quite well was Keith and I, we found this spot where we found a lot of taimen sitting on the side of a bank, and we put up a drone, and my drone was already confiscated, so I didn't even have my drone with me. We smuggled another one in through Ilya, and we had literally 2 batteries. We already ran one through, and you guys know the drill with all that stuff.
Man.
1 battery, we had 10 minutes left, and went up, and it was that eat where it kind of followed my fly, swooped at it, missed it, and then came back on the flats. And the reason why we didn't kind of continuously film that whole shot is because we were out of battery. Keith just wanted to, he got the money shot, and he's just like, I need to get this thing back. So yeah, you just have to be optimistic about it.
How do you go about like sourcing funding for trips like that? Because that's full on.
Yeah, I've, again, being fortunate enough to represent some of the companies, I mean, Yeti's been absolutely amazing with that stuff to just help me. And a lot of the movie stuff that I've done, I've kind of just done to break even. Like I've spent the money on the actual whole production itself. But Yeti's been amazing to me. Originally, Thomas & Thomas has been very kind, and Cortland, and so just some of the brands I work with. Costa has been involved in some of the stuff. So that having that connection, they've always been kind enough for me to help me out with some cash on the. Orvis has also just been great. The thing is why I think Orvis is also very kind with that stuff is the new CEO, Simon Perkins. He's kind of been a filmmaker himself and made some amazing stuff, so he knows what it takes to get the stuff made. Because I think people are getting very greedy in the sense of quality footage and stories they want to see, but they just don't realize what it takes to get it. I mean, money, commitment, injuries. I don't think people know. I mean,
No.
I think just like the way you also describe your hunting, like that's even another level of like craziness.
Yeah, I think the behind the scenes stuff like this, for example, is very similar. People, they don't realize like how much after the shooting goes into it. So like we're up earlier or early as everybody else. We're up later, like everybody else eats their dinner and goes to bed. We have to go then back up footage and then double back up footage, check everything. Charge all this shit, like organize all the stuff for the next day, plus organize normal like food, water, all that sort of stuff, the same as everybody else. And then the hunting stuff, we pack for like big hunts. You pack all of your sleeping gear, your food, everything that a hunter normally would. The only thing you don't take is a bow and binoculars, essentially. So you take your 20, 30 kilo pack plus all of your camera gear. So you're carrying heavier than everybody most of the time anyway. This is like up at what, 5?
Yeah.
Up at 5 in the morning and leaving and then fishing till 10, 11 o'clock, back. And then you go back out again at 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon in the night to fish through to the night to like 11 p.m. That gap during the middle of the day, we don't sleep.
Yeah.
We might be able to snag a little nap here and there, but by the time we get back and clean shit and back everything up and sort through footage and content and all that sort of stuff, and I'm still working. Like I've still got to do emails and proposals and reply to people and all that sort of shit, and they don't realize that how much of that goes into it. But then, and they want to pay pennies, but then they want to charge top dollar for their product.
Yeah.
But they want to pay pennies to someone that puts in the effort to sell the product for them, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a big gripe with big brands that do that sort of stuff. It sort of devalues the work that we do. Particularly
also, and not to knock anybody, because I think you need to start somewhere, but the thing that's kind of, I think made it difficult to make a real good living from all of the cinematography stuff is that a lot of the times there's younger kids now that'll do stuff for those companies for like a free rod and reel and stuff that maybe managed to get a camera somehow. Maybe their parents bought them a camera, and they actually, some of them are really good filmmakers, but they're just making it tough to charge money if their quality of footage is maybe a fraction less, but the guy still gets it for nothing. Then why not?
Yeah. And if you do that for the fun of it, and that's all well and good, but it devalues the people like us that, like, it's taken me 10 years to get to here.
Yeah.
10 years to be an overnight success.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, and it devalues the work that we do and all that sort of stuff. And their shit's not bad. Like, a lot of young dudes are doing really, really good stuff, but they'll forever have a day job.
Yeah.
If they keep that mentality and you trade time for money or time for gear, like, you're destined to stay in a day job. So, like, you need to be willing to look long term and accept the fact that I'm going to do this as a hobby, not as a career.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, that's a lot of things that young people don't understand, and they'll go and promote that, promote brands and do the brand jumping thing, like you say, just for free shit here and there, and that all of a sudden, like, it gets irrelevant eventually.
Yeah.
And you become irrelevant, or you stay irrelevant, and you never be able to make a name for yourself. And having 10,000, 100,000, 500,000 followers on Instagram doesn't necessarily do that unless you use that as a tool.
Yeah, it's a tough one, like with social media these days, you know, as I've definitely have a love-hate with social media, because it is a very useful tool. And when I go on there, the fun thing for me is like to see what you are up to, or like what the guys are up to that I'm interested in. But like, obviously, how the way the algorithms work now and advertising, you start getting a bunch of bullshit that you want to see. And
every second post, man.
Yeah.
It's fucked.
And it's weird, like now these days when I go on social media, when I'm done there, I feel like it becomes a waste of time. I mean, you just kind of sit there easily for an hour where you could have been productively doing something else, and then you just like notice, okay, shit, I just wasted that time. And again, it's sometimes fun seeing that stuff. But yeah, it's I think younger guys have definitely overly focused on just becoming influencers in a way, and I don't say it in a derog. I mean, there's definitely people that are very successful at it and doing really good at it, but I don't think that needs to be. I try and I think you're the same. Like, I've built my career around the fact that social media can disappear tomorrow, and if it's gone, it's cool. I can still have a business and I can still do my stuff with the guiding on the coast and just keep plugging away and doing my thing. And I think the majority of the guys that are my mentors or like in our time frame are the guys that are ready for that. But like, sometimes now you get the young, speaking like a true old man.
Yeah, we're both old.
Yeah, just it's not necessarily I think what they're doing is bad. I just think they might need a little bit like direction, or just like a little bit more motivation. I just had a client of mine put me in touch with a kid that just sounds super optimistic about guiding and filmmaking and all that stuff, and his heart seems to be in the right place, and I'm really keen to help him. But when I spoke to him on the phone, we spoke for a long time, and I said to him, look, it's not, when you become a guide, you need to realize you're fishing a lot less than what you used to when you're just a fisherman. You're going to be scrubbing boats, you're going to be fixing engines, you're going to be doing stuff in the background, you're going to solve problems that clients can't know about, you're going to be doing all this stuff, and there's no limelight, there's no shiny things about it, there's nothing about it. So there's a real side of it, and then there's a social media side of it. And again, we all put the highlight reel on there, and I suppose we should have put, it's just painful when social media would rather give you a massive algorithm on a grip and grin rather than I mean, that photo that Dave took of that kingfisher, I mean, that's a shot of a lifetime, or that elephant or the hippo or that stuff. People just don't realize what a miracle that shot is.
Yeah, it's like art without an audience. I feel like
exactly.
guiding is like that as well, because like we like literally will produce a really good piece out of this because I know what content we've shot, but like, it's not without shit getting rained on and get sand and salt spray all over it and fucking audio dramas. Like, had like 3 fights with mics and shit while we're here. Like, not having enough equipment. Like, I would have liked to have bring twice as much as what we bought, but we couldn't because of weight. Like, all of that sort of stuff. That doesn't go into the end product, and people don't actually realize. And it's interesting. What just stuck with me then was like, if social media died tomorrow, you could still operate. And that's what I pivoted in the last couple of years with my business. Is like, I noticed the trend in AI. Like, soon AI will just produce anything that you want. is my.
Yeah.
Everyone hates it. We use it a lot for a lot of our tools, editing software, like all of that sort of stuff with photo editing for removing shit that we don't need and all of that sort of stuff in video and photos. But so I think it's a good thing. But to create a reel, AI has access to everything on the internet. So it can create a reel for your social media page in ChatGPT essentially, and you can do that sort of stuff. And we could do that, but it's more expensive for us to do that because you're paying human time when someone could make it in 10 minutes on AI, less than that. Then I go, most people will go, oh, fuck AI, and they'll just keep doing reels until social media goes boom. If it does, then you don't have a career or a future.
Yeah.
So what I've tried to pivot to and focus on is we've expanded into sort of marketing and social media management, ads management, solving those problems for people that don't have time to actually market them. They have the content, but they don't know what to do with it, how to use it, or a long-term strategy for it. Yeah. So we've shifted into like a marketing space as well now, where we get behind brands and help them deliver their content, not just create it for them, like an end-to-end solution, I guess.
Yeah.
And then one thing I think AI will never ever be able to do is, maybe not in my lifetime, is to tell stories like a human can.
Yeah.
I think, so we're focusing more on pivoting into that mid to longer form stuff that actually has emotional impact, I guess, so to speak. Whereas reels are just like gone in 24 hours.
Yeah, it's just a quick fix. That's the thing, and also with that social media thing, I definitely, and I'm sure you do too, is just like there's a ton of people that I know that are complete badasses that either don't have a social media or they've got a very, very tiny following, and then it's weird because then the people don't even like know much about them, but just want to tell them, like, I mean, there's a friend of mine that I started guiding with in the Seychelles from day one, Tim Babbage, and to me, still to this day, is probably one of the best fly fishermen I know on the planet. He's got a small social media like it doesn't even matter because he doesn't bother to do all that stuff. It's just not something that is his bag. He's very kind of low key, but dude, you can put that guy on any piece of water and he'll catch a fish. And I mean, there'll be so many people in America that don't know about him. They'll scream and shout, just like, guys, there are some sick people out there, but you don't know about them because they're just not present on social media. Yeah,
and if they were present, they'd be just as big as the big names. Like, it's crazy how that works. And I think like the same for us from a content perspective is like I see some reels that people make, and some of the footage is incredible, and they do it for a 7 to 10 second thing. Like, stay and film a little longer.
Yeah. And
tell a fucking cool story with it all, and have that as a memory for your life. Like. And I'm not negating that short form content and photos and that sort of stuff. Like, photos are my jam. Like, I love photos. We shoot video because it's a better business model. But I love video too. But like, photos are my jam. And I love Instagram for the fact that you can do a carousel of 20 shots. So if I give you one shot, it might not make sense. But if I give you 20 different shots, it'll tell you the story of Gabon in still imagery. So we're going to do, I think I said before, we're going to do a photo book for here because we've shot some crazy shit, which is going to be epic. So you'll get a copy.
Yeah, awesome. There's some stuff that can go up on a wall that you guys shot too. Like, I mean, that'll look sick, like on big, like, just, yeah. Yeah, the big drone panorama. I'll try and explain it for the camera, but like that Kyle shot, it's how many photos? Yeah, so 6 photos with 3 exposures in each shot, stitched together in a panorama. And it's, if you look at the spit, if you look at Setacama on Google Maps or whatever, or Google Earth, you'll see a massive sand spit and a big blackwater lagoon come out, and then the ocean on the other side. So you've got this green strip with white sand around it leading to a point. The ocean coming in, that's like a deep blue with whitewash waves into sandy ripples, and then a jet black hard line of lagoon water the water is literally black. Yeah. And that in a big, long panorama, you could put that on a wall. It's incredible. Yeah, and again, just composing that one is like Jedi moves. It's not easy. Nah, and I think, going back to what I was saying, I guess, like people just go, oh, like they shoot with the intention to create a reel for socials to grow a following. Yeah. When you should just be creating, and people would do it. I'd be probably a little bit biased, but people, like, you should create for something bigger than that, I think. Yeah. Yeah, for memories or for whatever else. I don't know. Because I feel like once you post that reel, if you don't keep it on your phone or whatever and Instagram shuts down, what do you got left? Yeah. Do people use that shit? I don't know. Do people save reels? I don't know, maybe. just people's concentration span is getting too low. That means that this game, even this fishing game, is going to be very tough for people to stay focused on.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, with the world we live in, and people just becoming less patient. I mean, and that's what we kind of thrive on. Even I mean, I get impatient a lot still, but yeah, in some of this game, you just got to go with the flow.
I think that people choose easy
Yeah.
more than anything else, and easy is always short-lived. I think.
Yeah.
There's no such thing. Like, life is just fucking hard, man.
Yeah.
And you just need to accept it.
And also, what I've noticed a lot of the times on social media is like not necessarily just in fishing, and people like post these either dreamy relationships where it's like, and then I'm like, there's something fishy on that. There's like, the like with my wife and I mean, like so I met my wife when I was in London. So all that time we've been together, even through all the time I was guiding and all that stuff. And she's been super kind. I mean, like I said, just for me being able to do all of this, she's been very supportive. And like, we're not like, we don't like put photos of us up together on social media. We probably have we'll post more photos of our dogs than us together and stuff, but it's because we don't really need to. We're happy when we're together, and yeah, it's there's no need for all of that stuff. And I always like see something wrong there when people just overly do all that stuff on social media.
Yeah, I think I have a problem with with kids on social media too.
Yeah.
Like I have a daughter, and
Yeah.
most people would know I don't. Wouldn't know I did. Sorry.
Yeah,
And,
I didn't know until this week. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got a 2-year-old daughter. There's not a single post of her on social media. You will not find her on there. I posted one story the day she was born.
Which is like a celebration.
And that
It's
was it,
just
yeah.
like because you're, I mean, yeah.
Stoked. Yeah, and then there's not, just because like there's fucking like pedophiles and all sorts of shit, man. Like, and you're posting a photo with your kids in their school uniform and stuff, like that scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And you do whatever you like, that's fine. But yeah, I don't particularly agree with that, because you don't give them a choice whether they want to be on there or not either. Not that they're old enough to really understand, but still, I think I'm the same. So like my partner and I, we go hunting and fishing and shit all the time and hang out all the time. Very rarely, like, you wouldn't even know unless I told you that we were together. Like,
Yeah.
I think I hardly use Facebook, but I'm pretty sure I'm single on there. I think
I'd
so.
have to go back. My Facebook was hacked, and I just had like my Captain Jack page was hacked and it was taken away, and I was like, and I'm not even bothering with that stuff anymore. Whatever. Yeah, so it is what it is. We'll just rather do badass things than try and just put it on the internet.
Yeah. Speaking of badass things, so you went Seychelles guiding and then bounced around just through networking from that, and then when did you transition from doing that sort of stuff and move to the States? So is your wife South African?
Yeah, also
Yeah.
South African. Yeah.
So you met her in South Africa?
So in a lot of it, well, in my sort of age group, after university, a lot of students would either before or after university, they would go to the UK and they would work in London on a job. It's called a working holiday. So you kind of work and get your money to travel around with, and we did kind of the same. And we had friends in mutual, like we'd stay as these groups together in houses because you can't really afford anything. And then we kind of met through those mutual friends, and she was awesome. And yeah, we kind of like we've been friends for quite a while, and then we've dated for quite some time also before we got married. But yeah, then yeah, where was I going with this?
You met your wife. I was
Yeah.
asking how you. I asked 2 questions. That's why I fucked you up. How did you get? Like, you got with your wife. I confirmed that.
Oh, and then moved to the US.
Yeah.
So I mean, we obviously really do love South Africa and everything about South Africa. We went there a couple of months ago, and it's always fun to meet to see our families in South Africa. But it was very tough, particularly for my field, to be traveling a lot and for her to be on her own, because South Africa, you know, as beautiful country as it is, it's got its problems. And one of the problems, unfortunately, is crime. There's quite a lot of crime. We've had some family members getting some serial troubles, getting shot and all sorts of stuff. So it can be the Wild West out there. Sadly, it's, you know, you don't want to blame anybody for it, because it's kind of a lack of education, and it's the people that have, the people, the haves and the haves not. So it's kind of just a bad situation in that sense. And then we had an opportunity through a South African that bought a company called Thomas & Thomas Fly Rods, where this guy Neville Osmond, he helped us get a visa to the US, because we wanted to move to the US. That was kind of the plan. We actually first was going to manage a lodge in Mexico, close to X Flats, for a buddy of mine, Oliver White. He was going to buy this lodge, and eventually they wanted too much money, and he said no way, he's not going to buy the lodge. And then we got the opportunity to go to the US, and then we were in Massachusetts for a little bit, and then it kind of the weather, it got snow, and it's not our vibe for sure. And I got invited by Yeti to go to a film tour event in Austin, Texas, and went there and just loved the place. And I told my wife immediately, like, if we're gonna buy and move to the US, this is the place. And what happened was that particular year I had a lot of trips lined up, and I went on a trip with some of my fellow, my buddies Oliver, Blaine Chocolate, and Christian to Baja, Mexico, to chase big roosters on fly. And my wife from there flew to Austin, looked at 2 houses. She was communicating with me all the time, put in an offer at one home, flew back, I flew back, and then we kind of just once we got our green cards, we just straight went back down. But we got the offer, got accepted, and we moved to Austin. And how I ended up guiding on the Texas coast is I met, again, it's kind of just through all the connections that you make. Met a guy called JT Van Zandt, which worldwide, his dad was very famous for a singer-songwriter, Town Van Zandt. And JT is just one of the most awesome people, and he's been very supportive with me, with my guiding. And he kind of let me know, and I kind of figured out which area I like to start guiding at, and I found this little town called Port O'Connor. And once I started seeing, because Texas is known for redfish on the flats, which is still our bread and butter, but then I found some of the other fish and stuff, and really opened my mind, and I was like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I like these names that you mentioned, like I follow all of them, have done so for years, and it's just made me think of like there's so much value in doing the work that we do and what you're doing and stuff, just in like value, non-monetary value, and just the people that you meet.
Yeah.
And like your story sounds very much similar to mine. Is just it's just you go to a job and meet somebody,
yeah,
and that person knows somebody, or that person starts following you and shares a bit of your content, and then someone else picks it up and says, hey, can you come do some stuff for me? And like it seems very, very, very similar. Are people in the States and stuff like JT and that are willing to sort of share knowledge and help on the guiding scene, or to a degree, I guess?
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, he's got his. I think a lot of time, like the guys like that's very experienced, will usually kind of feel out how serious you are about it, and like JT immediately knew, because we actually did a podcast for Yeti at that time, because he was the host, and we did that one together and had a good chat, and then afterwards we stayed in touch, and he definitely obviously gauged that I was serious about it. And I mean, at that point I'd already had like 15 years international guiding experience behind me, so he knew. And the same thing with him is he was very supportive and helpful with, like, we'd always talk about like what he's like fishing wise, what he's experienced, but I still had to go pick that stuff up myself. And it's the same thing. So in the US, when you start guiding in the US, and I suppose everywhere where you go, you need to be extremely humble. So what I did before I started guiding in Port O'Connor, I reached out to a lot of the local guides, and either sent them a message or gave them a phone call, and just said to them, look, I mean, I'm planning on guiding here. I'm not just doing it for a quick little summer gig. I'm going to be here. This is how I make a living. This is how I support my family. If I see you out on the flat somewhere, I'll make sure I don't go close to you. I'll go around you, and just that sign of respect. But you still have to earn it. Like at that point, again, like I said, I was guiding for 15 years, and now I'm stepping into a new area, but I have to give guys the full respect that's been there before me. So I think that's what made me kind of get into it maybe a little bit quicker than most. And I remember the skiff that I got now is a Chittum skiff, and the rep for them, Stephen in Texas, he said to me, because there's this guy that's been in Port O'Connor forever, Tom Horby, and he said to me, like, Tom met up with him one day, and he's like, man, I really want to hate that South African guy, but I just can't, because like every time I see him, I wave like Forrest Gump at him. I was like, just really like a very kind wave. So just smother him with kindness, and that's just kind of worked out really well for me in a sense. And now I've got a couple of good buddies, Owen, Mason, KT, and just we're kind of a little team now. But it's still very competitive in those areas, in the sense of everybody's still kind of like trying to make a living for themselves. So whereas these guys that I admire always, like the African water guys, the guys in the Seychelles, it's a team effort. So it's nothing about your own ego. It's all about the client. So let's say, for example, you had a really good session with a bunch of clients, and you've got one guy that maybe struggled a little bit. That if you're in the zone, they'll kind of like either move you around or move the other guy in a spot. So they'll always make sure that the client is the most important thing in that sense. And I really like that sense of it. But we kind of building up a little team in Port O'Connor, but it's definitely not as like as intense as it's here with team wise.
Yeah, because you don't promote it a lot too, I assume, just because of people grabbing spots and shit like that. But like you communicate between yourselves about the fishery. I'm trying not to let too much go here, but like communicate between yourselves for the fishery. So you guys are sharing sort of knowledge and when things are firing and all that sort of stuff. So all of your clients, for all the different guides that you're friends with, can look after their clients, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So now we've built up a nice little squad in Port O'Connor where we'll either jump on the phone, or when there's tarpon doing its thing, we'll be on two-way radios. We'll really keep it low key. And even if we had to tell people and show people video of the stuff that happens out there, you still need to know the tides, the weather, the everything that plays along. So in one sense, we're kind of still safe in one way, but there's a few things. I mean, now I've noticed even with social media. I've seen it once before where I was on some fish, and I can't remember what exactly happened. It was almost like I was just posted a story or something on social media it was just a joke, and I could see another boat starting to, like, I was going to another spot and a boat sort of following me, and all I could assume that he maybe was waiting for something to happen and saw something on social media and just started following me. So in that sense, in those places, it's very tricky to post stuff. I've got stuff that'll absolutely blow your mind that is just ridiculous, but I just don't want to put it out there. It's not worth it. It's also, you kind of create your own competition in a sense. But for people that are just out there fishing and enjoying their time, people get frustrated when there's like what they call weekend warriors out there, but they're just there for it to have fun. You can't get angry at them.
Everyone's there. There's enough room if you do it the right way. I feel like there's enough room for anybody in any industry, or even just from a social perspective. There's a lot of water out there.
Yeah.
You just have to be willing to put the time in, I think, which is a lot of people don't do.
You just gotta keep evolving, be better. That's it. That's the only way you can do that.
Do you think it's harder the way you've gone about it, which is like the super polite, super respectful way? Do you think it's harder to get a leg up in the industry that you're in, or an industry in general, doing that?
I think it's longer, but it builds a stronger foundation. That's 100%. That's that's how I managed to get all the I feel like the opportunities just kind of showed themselves just through the hard work. So it might have been a little bit of a slower way to do it, but it kind of worked out better that way and just kind of formed a really good foundation.
Yeah. So and that allows you to fish all different places, go to all different places, like affiliate with all different brands and stuff too. Yeah,
and that's kind of usually how the hosted trips also ended up working, is like this. This is kind of theoretically also has been like a hosted trip in a sense, not that much, because usually on hosted trips, you have a full group of 8 to 10 clients, and at very rare stages that I get an opportunity to fish. At that point, I just kind of really need to move in between clients, make sure this one's right, and sort of communicate with the managers, what's the plan, all that kind of stuff. So when you do these hosted trips, and that's one thing that a lot of guys have asked me, like, how, because some guys just want to do hosted trips. I'm like, it doesn't really work that way. You have to guide, network, meet clients and clients that trust you to go on these trips with, because at the end of the day, what I've noticed with a lot of the hosted trips is the thing that kind of freaks people out the most is the logistics side of it. And even in this place, when people hear about Africa, they immediately feel like in danger doing these trips. So you have to kind of set them at ease and just kind of really make them feel comfortable on these situations. Although the stories that we've spoken about, the shit can go sideways. Again, I'm a forever optimist in that sense. Even if it kind of like I said, the fishing muscles me down, I kind of still assume the best will happen.
You have to. You have to, I think. And same goes for everything in life.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. And I'm very similar to you in regards to the fact, like, if someone else bought a video crew here or something like that, and they were having a shit time or needed gear or wanted to use some footage or whatever, like, by all means, like, come and join in.
Yeah.
Because there's enough room. You just grow the pie.
Yeah.
Grow the pie, I think, is one of the best bloody pieces of advice.
No, definitely. And I think also, like you said, with that whole like business setup on your side also, it's just that 10 years of grind and emails that you send at 3 a.m. in the morning that the other people don't do. And sorry, that was the only other thing about how I kind of really managed to create a foundation is when I was still living in South Africa, when I was, for example, like working with Sims or with all those companies, I would be, if they wanted to jump on a phone call at 2 a.m. in the morning, I would be up until 2 a.m. in the morning and do those phone calls. And like I said, where things also went well for me is just that I bought my plane tickets and I went to the trade shows and kind of shook people's hands and met them, and they knew I was willing to go the extra mile. And I was kind of trying to be responsible. I kind of spent most of my money on got myself a little apartment and just kind of really just kind of try to not just go and party every time and just get drunk and then you have to go back to go guide. So you're kind of trying to make a career out of it in a sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, and then there's things that still go wrong, like in the Seychelles, where we were we were crushing, rocking and rolling from late 2005 to 2009, and then the piracy thing happened, and then that shit shuts down, and then suddenly that part of your guiding is gone. So what do you do now? So luckily at that point I was just going from there, and then I went to Norway, so I still had a pretty solid foundation and some stream of income, because I mean, if you're guiding, you're not making money at that point. That's the only way you make your money. And yeah, the piracy thing was one that hit the Seychelles pretty hard. That's all done now, but the crazy thing about that whole part is there's a book written on it called 88 Days, and in 2009 we started hearing these little rumblings about piracy things happening around that area, but we paid no attention to it, because when we had parked the boat at the atolls, at that point we'd fly from Mahe to Assumption and take the Indian Ocean Explorer to Cosmo and to Astove and kind of fish those areas and then come back, drop clients off, pick new ones up. We had just done the season. We were kind of wrapping up, and I remember the morning when I was coming around the point, we had just done a little half session before we head back, and we came back and I saw the Indian Ocean Explorer, and that boat is a terrible looking boat. I mean, it's nothing fancy. It's a working boat. It's an old ice crusher, and we used to call it the animal's bum. Like myself and my buddy Timo, we shared a room which we called the cave, or the dungeon, where he was the bunk below me and I was above, and the septic tank for the whole boat was above my head like this. So he used to get up at night to smoke, and when he wakes up, he'd wake me up and I'd literally almost knock my head on the septic pipe. Smelled awful. And then so I just said, who would want to pirate that boat, seriously? And then we got off with our clients, got on the plane, and we took off, and we were in the air. I don't know exact time frame, but as we were on our way back to Mahe, the pirates took the boat, and they kept on asking the crew and Captain Francis and Patrick, where's the people? Because they thought we were still on there. We had 10 American big players with us. They just kept on asking where we were, and we were already away. So by the time we landed in Mahe, a message went through to Keith, because Keith wasn't there at the time. So these guys are taken. They didn't know where we were. But yeah, luckily we were safe. Sadly for the crew, they kept the crew in the Bay of Somalia for 88 days, treat them like shit, bang them up, just kept them alive, and they got half the ransom. They wanted $1 million, they got 500,000, and then they did an airdrop. They literally dropped the cash, send the crew back, and then they sank the boat, set it on fire and sank the boat. So and that was our Seychelles season done for a while. And then that kind of just how things just helps itself. Then a couple seasons later we find that stuff at Farquhar where the GTs are eating the birds, and yeah, then things go mental again. But it makes people obviously uneasy, but that stuff, yeah, it's just part of the world these days.
It is. Most people are good though too. It's you see a lot of shit. There are those once-offs, but you're on the news and mainstream media and stuff, they always promote the shit, all the bad stuff. The people there are beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Lovely people.
And so the dirty secret people don't know about the piracy thing is the reason why the Somalians started pirating is because their fishing rights in the Bay of Somalia got sold to Chinese trawlers, and they emptied the Bay of Somalia, so the people couldn't feed their families anymore because that got emptied by the Chinese trawlers. And then they were forced to do something for food, and that was what drove them to do that. So it was out of necessity. It's not like they wanted to. They didn't want to do all that stuff. And I'm sure the same thing with hunting and poaching. Those poachers, whereas rather they're trying to find food, they can get $1,000 for a rhino horn from a guy, and it'll feed his family for 6 months or a year for that little bit of cash, whereas that guy maybe gets $1 million for the rhino horn. And that's again where I think frustratingly for you guys in your hunting industry, I'm not a hunter at all, but like got a lot of friends that do, and I wish just more people knew the reality of the thing they don't realize is hunters. The most important thing to them in the world is the animals being around. So yes, do they kill them? Of course they kill them, but they want more of them to be around, so they're willing to pay a lot of money to protect them, or they'll take out animals they're not going to. If there's an endangered animal, they're going to start taking out endangered animals. It's going to be specific animals. Same thing with big hunts. There's a specific selected animal. Agree with it or not, it helps save all those places.
The money that goes back into those industries, let's use Africa for example, like the Cecil lion. Do you remember that being promoted? So that was like a huge big deal. Like everybody was hating on hunters, and they still do. But like Cecil was a problem lion. And he was old as shit. He wasn't breeding anymore. There was a whole heap of other things, like he was causing problems. So someone went and paid, I don't even know what it was a lot of money from America to kill that lion. A lot of that money goes back into the communities, to the guides, to the outfit, and to the conservation of lions.
Yeah.
It's like you kill one lion, you save 1,000. Not 1,000, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and the same goes for like the like all of that other stuff. Like I think rhinos, there's a bit of chit chat about rhinos too, like old rhinos going in and killing young male rhinos that are good for breeding and everything like that. So a hunter will pay big money to go and kill that old fucked up rhino that's going to die anyway because his teeth are so worn he can't even eat. Yeah,
infected and
Same with like America's a very good example of a very well managed natural resource. And for us, like fishing's the same for me. Is like the death of the animal is like this big.
Yeah.
Being up in the mountains physically and mentally challenge yourself, and you see all this crazy shit, like the whole experience and the people and the time that you spend with those people and all that sort of stuff is like far outweighs the trophy shot. But if you try and portray that, which is why we do what we do, is like you try and portray that whole thing, people can't assimilate it with it unless there's a dead animal at the end of it.
Yeah.
Whereas for hunters, there's good hunters that are there for the right reasons. It's not really about the animal itself.
Yeah, I mean, you guys that do bow hunting and stuff, a lot of the times you'll not even shoot. You'll just be there.
Especially for me.
Yeah, exactly. Like I remember you saying, like a lot of times you don't even shoot it until it's the right one. But I mean, I've had, and that's where social media gets toxic, because like I've had a couple times where I would post like a super exotic fish, like a Napoleon wrasse or a parrotfish or whatever, and then people get up all like, oh, don't hurt these and this and this, and then I try and explain to them very diplomatically, because you can't really go hard because people then build a barrier. So I try and explain to them, look, if we didn't guide in the Seychelles, if we didn't have clients in the Seychelles, those places will be completely commercially fished and poached out. Like there's no chance that they'll survive. Like they'll have illegal fishermen coming from Mauritius or Madagascar or Mauritius and all over that will empty those oceans. So the presence there with the anglers and the money that goes into it again protects it. But a lot of people just get so emotionally charged, and then they put this barrier up, and you can't explain to them, but like they need to start like just think common sense and just do a little bit more research. Whenever I see something now, even if it's something that like bothers me a little bit, I'll go and research it more, and more often than not there's an answer. There are some crazy stuff that happens, but a lot of times you'll find an answer.
Yeah, I agree 100%. A recent one that just popped into my head was a friend of mine speared a Napoleon wrasse in a place where it was legal to.
Even I got heated up by that one. I'll tell you what. But I learned more about it. Sorry. Just please tell the story, because I want to know.
Yeah. So I won't name names or say locations or anything like that, but he shot a Napoleon wrasse. It's legal to do so there, and all of that fish got used, like for food.
Yeah. So isn't it just to ask a dumb question, but like I haven't had it before. I know I've seen in Farquhar some of the guys would have kept some, and when they filleted the meat, it kind of looked blue. Like the ones that I saw, like is it really? It sounds like it's tasty. Like people say it's super tasty.
Amazing.
Oh, it really is. Okay.
Yeah, it's really delicious. It's like coral trout meat.
Yeah.
Like white and fluffy and beautiful. I haven't taken one, so I don't. I'll get the rest, but like I've tasted it. But he got like absolutely reamed when it was completely legal, completely sustainable population, and he just wanted to. I guess like he's kind of a social media based person, so he wanted to, I guess. I don't think he's not a clickbaiter by any means, but like it was just something that he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it made him happy to do so he did it. And then he's well within his rights to promote it however he sees fit. But he got a lot of flack for it.
I can imagine.
And it's because people immediately jump, which is the point I'm trying to make, is that people like will see something and immediately jump without context or education. So you see a dead lion, you think that dude's an asshole because he's killed a lion, when literally that dude has paid $100,000 to a local community and conservation and saved another 100 lions.
Yeah.
But people aren't willing to just go that one step further, and they come in half cocked and have a stab at someone.
And that's the kind of the weird thing where we get very, like, you see that Napoleon, and like I said, I firstly had a super emotional response because when I see a Napoleon, I kind of see this like reef dwelling more so with hunting, because I mean, I'm definitely not one to point fingers, because I've caught plenty on fly with myself and clients, and then put them back, which some people would say is stupid. You put this fish through all the stress and then you just put him back to go live his life. But when I saw that, I had an emotional response. But then I looked through some of the comments, and again, I think like you mentioned, it sounded like it was legal and he had the choice to do. And I actually spoke to one of the Yeti ambassadors, it's Cameron, and he kind of said that at certain places they're kind of tricky to shoot. I wasn't 100% sure if they're tricky, because in the Seychelles they'll just kind of swim up to you. And one thing I heard about them is that the Chinese would sometimes go in and then they'll find one, kind of catch it, put a rope through its gill, and they'll sell the lips on the market, which is just something I kind of read early on. Which again, sorry, I kind of veered off there, but why would somebody get the emotional response about that fish getting speared and not like if you had a giant yellow-lipped emperor? Why would they not get angry at that? It's a fish. It's all
the
fish.
same
It's a
thing.
fish.
Yeah, you're good, man. You're good. Yeah, you walk around. Yeah.
Yeah.
No stress.
Grab my head back.
Oh yeah. No, you can take your pack if you want. It just looks cool.
I just get charged by.
No, that's all good.
Which is actually still on the post. Never mind.
We've been giving
Check one,
the
two.
poor old guides a bit of a hard time. Just moving their shit around, playing with their flies.
Same thing if you want emotional response on social media. Like the one thing we've tried in Texas is learn people how to release tarpon and that stuff. But if you want an emotional response fish, you put like a tarpon that's lifted weirdly out of the water and stuff. Oh my word, you'll get so much. And again, like, look, I love the passion about tarpon, but and it's an old fish and prehistoric. But again, not to be the devil's advocate, but what does it mean a little bit more than other fish? Like, why is it so much more important? All fish should be important. And this, not to kind of go full circle and kind of yarn on a story, is like this whole thing, and you guys also more than anybody, the shark issue in a lot of places in the world. I mean, we've seen some fucking sharks over here, but like in places in Florida and even in Texas now, we're starting to see sharks. So my question here is, and maybe you've read up on a little bit more, is like, so people say there's more sharks than ever. So maybe yes, because there's less fishing for them, but you still hear the statistics that there's millions and millions of shark getting shark finned and killed. But so I feel like in Texas, where I guide at, we have a few fish taxed every now and then. But I say, if you put the best barbecue in the world on the main road in Port O'Connor and you say it's free and you let people, everybody in town will go there to go feed and eat their barbecue and go home. Basically, we're just creating a massive conveyor belt of food for them. Why would they not go there? So I feel like maybe not necessarily there's more. I just think they're attracted to a specific area that we're training them to. Or maybe there's a few more extra, but it can't suddenly be in all these years that people now just say like everything's getting eaten. So it's another controversial subject, same as the Napoleon, that people just get so emotional about. But I want to try and see both sides, because I love sharks, but I also don't like seeing them eat other fish that they're catching.
I think like I agree, and my line is with it that the natural populations of animals will sustain themselves. So like they'll eat themselves out and then they'll die off because there's not enough food around and all that sort of stuff. So I think like what's contributed to it, I think there's always probably been a very similar amount of sharks around, but social media hasn't been around forever.
Yeah.
So like people have been getting flogged by sharks before Facebook.
Yeah.
Right? And then all of a sudden it's promoted. So then more people see it. So then more people think there's more sharks.
Yeah.
As well. But it's never been easier to fish for anybody to fish.
True.
There's so much information out there to go and fish. So more people are fishing and more people are catching more fish. So then there's more people out on the water, which means that there's heaps of food for sharks. So those sharks are eating and maybe breeding more often.
Yeah.
So there technically might be more sharks. So I feel like I go down the rabbit hole a little bit with that sort of stuff theoretically. So I think like I probably think there is more sharks, but I also think we just see more of it, so we think there's more sharks as well.
Yeah.
There's probably a bit of both.
And I mean, I know also like mostly spear fishermen also, they've definitely got a gripe with them. And But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things again. You can just put something out on social media and you'll just have everybody just goes emotional response. So yeah. Oh, no.
You're an OG shark fisherman too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love them. They've got a very special. And the thing that I've always got told right in the beginning is that the sign of a healthy reef is lots of sharks. And the interesting thing is I don't know if they have it a little bit more now, but if I look back at all my time spent in the Seychelles guiding there, is very, very seldom that we have a fish get taxed. And there, I would also probably say in the beginning there used to be a lot of longliners before the pirates, and after the pirates thing there were a lot less longliners. So we started seeing like maybe a tiger shark here or a this or there was like lots of lemon sharks, but maybe there's a little bit more now, but still it's almost, even if we spend all that time there, it's still as if those sharks, they don't get trained. I might hear 1 or 2 stories a season where GT gets eaten. Most of the fish eating other fish attacks that I've had in the Seychelles were barracuda attacking other fish more often than sharks. So kind of makes me think again, like with that whole how we're training them in a sense. But yeah, who knows? That's just speculation. It's opinions.
Yeah, it is. And I think there's a lot of the loudest voices are the least educated too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the loudest voices, they either have like such a boring, miserable life that they just feel good when they're shitting on somebody else's successes or what they're doing that makes them happy.
Yeah.
Or they have the lack of education or understanding around a specific thing.
Yeah.
So they only have the information that they have, and then they'll go and shoot from the hip, which I feel like is like human nature in a way.
And usually those type of people can't appreciate constructive criticism. Like if somebody tells me I'm a dumbass, there's probably a reason why they say that. So like, and I appreciate when somebody kind of proves me wrong or shows me something differently, or like just says like that's not right. That's okay. That means I'm learning something. But just also seems like the generations as it moves along is just people can't get criticized for anything.
No, and I feel like, I don't know, when I grew up, like all the sensitive stuff that people have now, like everyone's so sensitive about everything.
Jesus, yeah.
And everyone takes offense to everything, and you can't say anything. Like I think the world's improving in regards to like racism and equality and all that sort of stuff. Like there was shit that's been said when I was younger, like by my grandfather and all those people, that was quite derogatory and probably not appropriate.
Yes.
But now it's gone so far the other way, where you can't even speak normally.
Yes.
Like in Australia, for example, the word mate, right? So like it's everyone's mate.
Yeah.
Everyone's mate, whether you're a boy or a girl, you're mate.
Yeah.
And that's how it's always been. And I feel like that's a part of Australian culture.
Of course, that's how we remember it, for sure.
It's not offensive at all in any way that anyone, in my understanding is it has no ill intent.
Yeah.
And there's people there that are in like, it's mostly, in my experience, like transgender people and stuff like that. And I don't have a problem with transgender people. If you want to do that and it makes you happy, then go ahead.
Yeah.
But taking offense to someone calling you mate because you're a man that wants to be or identifies as a woman, and you take offense to that, it's not masculine, it's Australian. Yeah. And like that sort of shit's just fucked. And you got to like be super careful about how you type emails and like all of that sort of stuff. And the majority of people don't have any intent to offend you. You just take offense to it. And
that's a you problem.
Man, it literally is a you problem. And it's so fucking frustrating because it just puts everybody is so unsure now.
Yeah.
And then everybody's so offended about everything, and we like exemplify it. So ordinary. I don't know. I have a real big problem with it.
That's also like what I've noticed with some of the companies now, and again, like some of those people are actually badasses and they come from very bad situations. But like I felt like these days, you needed to come from some catastrophic, dramatic upbringing or something, and you've gone through the rains and you've actually made it to that side to actually be legit. But I mean, like I said, like that's not like, I wouldn't say that's always the case. I mean, it's very, very like good if you can get yourself through a shitty situation, but shit, not everybody's done that, but there's still people that work hard to get to that point.
100%. And I think like that teaches you mental toughness. And I think masculinity is undervalued. Like it's gone, like,
word. The US is like same deal. It's the weirdest thing to me. It's like something. I mean, if you had to ask my dad about all the like pronouns and all that stuff, he'll like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Jeez.
Literally,
Yeah.
literally. I don't know. The world needs men just as much
Yeah.
as the world needs women.
Oh yeah.
It makes no. Yeah, I don't know. It's because what's that? The saying that I've heard a heap of times, and from my grandfather and stuff is I think it's been on Rogan a few times. Everything. It's hard times create hard men.
Yeah.
Hard men create easy times. Easy times create soft men. Soft men create hard times.
Yeah.
And it's just this vicious cycle.
Full circle.
Yeah, and I think we're at that soft men create hard times
Oh yeah.
type deal. Because you can be gay or trans or whatever, but you can still be like competent and
Yeah.
mentally tough. Like you don't have to be this fucking soft thing. You can be
be a
soft when you
drama
need to,
queen.
but you can still go hard if you have to. Like
Yeah.
I feel like why not is I guess my argument. We're going down the rabbit hole here, but but why not be both? Like if you want to be feminine and you're a dude, be feminine.
Yeah.
But also when the shit hits the fan, be able to deal with it. Because why not? Like what excuse do you have?
And that's also why, like, just not with the transgender, but like like, you know, our industry's been obviously dominated by men for a very
Yeah.
long time, and now like particularly with some of the ambassadors that I spent time around with Yeti, the female ambassadors, man, they're just like one of the dudes. Like they just hardcore. They just go through same like Hillary, Camille, like Paula, Shira, like just all these girls, April, like they all go through. They've gone through the hoops and also dealt with a bunch of dudes giving them shit for not, and they've gone through all of it, and like I respect them a lot for that, because they definitely got heat on and just muscled through all of them. And then you got some of the girls that are just like probably more trying to just like muscle their way. They love the industry and stuff, and maybe like more of the influencer direction that they go into, which again, not going down that rabbit hole again, but like sadly enough with like, I think the thing I appreciate about real extreme sports like surfing big waves or snowboarding or skiing, whatever those things might be, is there's no way to fake it. Skating, there's no way to fake it. But unfortunately, with what we do, you can fake it for social media for sure. Which sadly is definitely a reality, and how people kind of just not necessarily just like once off. They just kind of built their career around it, which kind of sucks. But it is what it is. If if they're happy with it, that's their choice.
Yeah.
But the badass ones they stand out anyway.
Yeah,
Like, I
they
mean, some of them
literally
just-
do. You can tell the difference. And like, yeah, like if you want to get your tits and your ass out on the internet to make a living from it, that's all well and good. But then what happens when you got a wrinkly old ass and saggy titties?
Yeah.
Like, do you become irrelevant then, or are you actually good at fishing?
Yeah.
Like, that's when it comes out like, oh, this person actually can't fish.
Yeah.
And like, it's all people think too short term in my
Exactly.
opinion. And like, yeah, there's some badass women around the place. Like my partner's, like, I'm biased, but my partner's one of them. Like if I was to go up a mountain with anybody, it'd be her.
Yeah.
Like we'll stick it with most men. Like fitter than me up a mountain.
Yeah, I think sometimes the ladies with that are hardcore can sometimes be mentally stronger than some of the guys.
Man.
Like they'll bail out first. They just muscle along.
Yeah.
So no, it's definitely an interesting time to be alive. That's for sure.
Man, it's changed. I think like our age, our generation sort of thing is like we came up old school,
Yeah.
and now we're at that change. So we've dipped a toe in each, so we can sort of pick the best of both and move forward. Whereas all of the younger generation and stuff like that are sort of only seeing this much of it.
Yeah.
And it's that lack of education thing again, like a lack of understanding.
And also I think going through doing the hardship and doing everything the right way is like just learning you to like we've said before with the travel thing, like problem solving, like this happens, like so when the whole plane crash thing happened in Bolivia is the two guys that was with me in the plane, they weren't in my group, but they were both military guys, and like we were literally like, once everybody knew, okay, cool, we're alive, nobody's dead, everything's okay. And then like immediately, like I checked in the back, how much water do we have? Do we have bananas? What's we're gonna be here for a week? Who knows? We can't see anybody. We don't know where the hell we are. We can't walk away from this, because if you start walking, you walk in circles. So just immediately trying to like summarize our situation, summarize what we have, and just how long survival mode is, and that's it. And it took like a second. We literally, it was kind of just almost surreal of how we're like, okay, I'll check you. Okay, check. You feel anything? Okay, this hurts. Okay, maybe there's a broken rib. Da. Just like it's like it was almost like a routine that we just went through. Pilot face. Okay, cool. Blood. Like, should we stitch? No. Okay, let's just leave that. So that could have been a lot worse with somebody that's full panic mode, that's a drama queen.
Exactly.
You immediately like, just step aside. Okay, we'll take care. Everything's okay.
Yeah. And yeah, there's just no place for it. You got to keep your head under pressure and keep
Yeah.
your head, like, be level-headed when it's good and when it's bad, I think, in
Yeah.
my opinion. And it's a sign of a strong person, not a manly person or whatever else.
No, it
It's
could be any.
a mentally strong person. And I
Any.
think like the world needs more of those people
Yeah.
to get shit done. It's interesting. That just that plane crash thing triggered me to ask a few questions around like some of your like most memorable, whether it's good fishing or crazy shit like that. What are some of your most memorable sort of trips? You've done so many of them over the years.
Jeez, yeah, there's been some amazing, memorable ones. Like I said, also when I'm not fishing, again, when it's filming or you're just kind of with clients, that's kind of those moments. They all stand out, whether you're fishing or not, or guiding or whatever it may be. But I've definitely had a couple of trips in Bolivia where I'll be with a group of clients and spend time with them. But there's usually like one day a week where I'll go upriver with a buddy of mine, Chucky, which manages one of the lodges, which hopefully you'll get to meet pretty soon.
That'd be sick.
That also just one of those days we went up and hiked a long way. Like, again, usually we'll hike about 8 hours and fish for 2 hours, because you literally just want to make it to a point, and then you want pond fishing as like just efficiently through all the spots. And the spots that you fish are really good. And I mean, this was literally just before the plane crash. Those big Matoro catfish, like they saw them in the river a lot, and we started kind of like seeing to get a few just sort of willing to eat the fly, but usually it was kind of a little bit iffy. But there's this kind of cool video also that we took when I was casting like I had an 8'5" 8-weight on those Orvis Black Series rods, and put the fly in front of it. The funny thing is like in the video, like I'm still kind of in denial whether or not it's going to eat it, but I line the fish up, and you can hear Chuck in the background, I go strip the way he stripped it, and that fish just literally turned around. And the funny thing is, just before that, the night before that, there was 2 scientists or photographers from Nat Geo that was with us that they couldn't puzzle the way that the Matoru were feeding. They were probably mostly nocturnal nighttime feeders, but like at daytime they'll be more like relaxed, chilled. And this one was sitting like a log there, and that's what kind of made me think that he probably wasn't going to eat. But then when that fly came past, he literally like just hoovered it up. But the whole series of that video is just us just being blown away by it eating, and then just the whole scene about him kind of, I pulled it up like half a dozen times as shallow as I could get it, but we just couldn't keep it there, and eventually like Chucky tackled it, and it was quite a good scene, and caught a big Dorado that day. So definitely that whole trip with just Bolivia and the jungle and the backdrop, and I mean, just the stories go forever, particularly like with the one of the main ones is in the Seychelles when we found those GTs eating the birds.
That was my next one.
So what happened is just like, this was play by play, is we went in for the season. We had a group of 6 South Africans that week, and they were in with the knowing that we were kind of prepping the boats for the rest of the season. So they were just kind of like in our like start off week. So the boats was a shit show. We had thought we had unwinterized all the boats. We got them ready, and those were all still steering rods. And once we started trying to turn the boats, the steering rods were all frozen up, and we had 4 boats that we had to fix overnight. We had like that night to fix all the boats. We managed to fix 2. 2 guys went out. I went to an area called Depot Zay Rats and Mice, and Keith and a guy called Warren Daisel from Namibia went to Gulet Island to start off on the high tide. And I had a pretty baller. Like, I got a jeet of 110 centimeters and then another 135 centimeter fish, and we did well and got back. And Keith and Warren said like there were GTs like they were exploding on the surface, and they couldn't necessarily, they thought it was the tropical squids at first that they were eating, because we see them hunt them quite often, but it happened really quick, and it happened quite often, so they thought there might have been like a tropical squid, like a hatch kind of, or a congregation. And then, but Warren said that he went to the back to go fetch the boat at one stage to pick up the clients, and he said when he got to the back, he saw a GT eat a bird, and most of the guys were like, "You're probably on crack. That's not possible." And we're like, this is probably like, he's very level-headed Namibian. He doesn't really make jokes. He's not there to lie or tell fibs or anything. And then the next day, it was my turn to go to Gulet, and I had a client, George from Port Elizabeth, and we walked up the southern edge of that island. and it was a shallower section, and I saw a GT just sit in the current. The tide was still coming in, and he made a first false cast, and the second false cast he hooked the bird, and it just went bloop, landed in the front, and the GT literally from like 50 meters away just poof, smoked it. It was crazy. And then it was like, okay, cool, maybe we're onto something. And then we kind of just made our way around the island. And then I had another client, it was George, and a guy called Ginkel Venter, a South African. And he like saw an injured bird, and he kind of like tipped it towards the water. It sounds savage, but he tipped it towards the water, and this thing started like fluttering out in the water, and literally 10 meters out, poof, GD smoked it. And they were like, holy shit, this is actually happening. And then we started like paying attention to it. The like juvenile sooty tern will like kind of like, it learns to fly like you see now on the Nat Geo thing, and then it kind of like dips, and it takes a little dip, and either it falls on the water or it just stays and hovers for long enough, and the GTs would just come full breach. Like I had a GT jump, I was doing a drift over the lagoon, and I had a GT genuinely like I mean, it was over 6 foot, come clear out of the water and catch a bird, and went down, and like it was right there in front of me. So it was legit. And yeah, I mean, that the long story short, and then about a year after, the funny enough, I made Gangsters of the Flat, and a client, Andrew Jensen, spoke to somebody at BBC, and they contacted me. Sophie was the girl's name. That was a production company for BBC, and they spoke to me about the whole situation. And then it was like 2 or 3 years, and we kind of liaised with Keith and those guys, and I was supposed to go with them on the shoot, but then I was guiding in Mongolia at the time. So then they kind of just set everything up, and they got that incredible footage, and the rest is history. Yeah. So I mean, that thing will.
Blue Planet. Was it on Blue Planet?
Blue Planet, yeah.
David Attenborough narrated it.
Yeah, incredible. The footage they got also. I mean, they were filming like long lenses on Phantom Flexes.
They would have helied or flew gear in like plates, wouldn't they?
Yeah, so they flew in. So they had 2 or 3 chartered flights back and forth to the island. The first one they took 1,700 pounds of camera gear on the first flight, and they spent 3 weeks there. And then they did another 3 weeks there. No, maybe the second time it was 2 weeks. So for a 2.5 minute segment, they spent over a month and planning for 2 years in advance. So that's what went into 2.5 minutes.
That documentary, wildlife documentary stuff is incredible, man. Like some of those flamingo pieces in, I can't remember the name of the series, but it's a David Attenborough one. It's a few years old now, but like some of the flamingos breeding in those pink lakes and stuff, and those salt lakes, they film them for 12 months straight.
Yeah.
And then your documentary, by the time the series is edited, it's not out for like 2-3 years from that point. Like these guys, there's the documentarians here that were filming the spit that I explained earlier. The mouth of the river is home to like everything, from small to big, but like elephants, hippos, buffalo. What else is there? There was some other shit that they wanted to get.
Red river hogs?
Red river hogs.
Yeah.
Monkeys, gorillas, chimpanzees, all that sort of stuff. And they've been back and forth for over 6 months, I think, or something like that. Like on and off. This is one of the ladies that's running the project has been here 4 or 5. This is her 5th time, and they still haven't finished. And they haven't. I spoke to them at dinner the other night before they left, and they said they haven't got everything that they need yet.
Yeah, you always want more.
Man, but like your TV series is over in a couple of months. Like you watch one episode a week on TV and it's gone in like a couple of months.
It's brutal, actually, just to think that people are just going to consume it so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the stuff they film like almost seems like, again, you probably also look at it from the same perspective. You see the shot and you think to yourself immediately like, how the fuck did they get that? Like, how is it even possible?
A lot of time, man. Like, and they're bringing like we bring stripped down everything. Like we come with 2 23 kilo pelican cases, and 2 23 kilo bags with clothes and a few other spares. Like,
and you could have brought more if you wanted to.
We took one focal length of lens essentially when we should have been, like it would have been sick to take 2 more lights, all that stuff, but we couldn't. But they've brought like a $50,000 lens that goes up to I think it's like I can't remember. It's like 1800 mil, some fucked up.
Holy cow!
They've done a tripod and a camera in the river just here too. They said fell off the boat or something. A boat accident sunk a boat, lost the camera and a tripod and like a
And they smoked the ATV.
Yeah, they drowned 2 quad bikes. The tripod that they've got there, that big cinema tripod to put that shit on, is like they're like $10,000, $20,000. Like like that tripod's fucking $1,000, and it's only basic as shit. Like, and sitting out there in the sun and traveling all around, and then like they have to organise guides and all that sort of stuff, and weather dependent and everything like that. And then like you've seen the jungle here. Like, imagine trying to find gorillas. Like, you're still looking for something massive. Like, we walked for, I think it was a 6K loop where they see them all the time, and all we seen was like old nests.
Yeah.
And like leopard tracks
and
leopard shit. Leopard shit, yeah.
Here's a little present for you.
Literally.
Just something.
Yeah, and it's like that sort of stuff is like, the effort that they put in to get that shit's incredible.
But that's why I admire that shot you got of the hippo too, because when you said you were gonna go, I was kind of like, I mean, I'm optimistic for you guys, but I was like, man, that is like a big risk. Like, that's going to be a long shot, and then you come back and you guys got it. And then, like, I asked you guys like several times, I was like, no way. I was like, oh my word, that is sick. Because even that, like, I don't know what quality footage they got of that, but prior to the stuff that you got, whether it be just coming out of the beach, the only footage I've seen of it was like once, I think, and this photo even up here of it coming out up at the lodge. So, and it's the only place in the world that it happened. So shit, that was a long shot, and just doing it within, I mean, shit, it was, as camera guys, you always want to be there another 4 weeks. Like you said, they keep coming back. I'm already like twirling you whether we should maybe try and see you again this round 2. But again, it's time, money, a lot of like commitment. So, I mean, shit, how much can you just like of your own mental capacity put into it? Literally, it's taxing. And like, I want to go back there because like the story behind it was we sat there at the mouth of that, where the lagoon meets the sea. And it's only a tiny lagoon, and we were sitting there till we got there pre-daylight, which is, what time's daylight here, like 6:30? 6:30, yeah. Yeah, so we were there at 5:30, 6 o'clock. Shit. Waiting, sitting on a log waiting right beside the water, and saw one in the dark, and then we're sitting there, we got to like 8:30, and then Ewan heard some monkeys, like 100 meters behind us in the palm trees eating the palm nuts and stuff. And I hadn't filmed the monkeys for the film yet, so I was like, fuck, we'll run back there. And I got incredibly close, got some crazy footage of them and stuff. But because I filmed the monkeys, if I came back from the monkeys 5 minutes earlier and sat back down, I would have filmed the hippo in the surf. Yeah. But I was like, I had to literally, I spun around and Ewan was like, oh fuck, a hippo. So I grabbed it, and I grabbed the tripod, ran back, and I was lucky that it was pretty well perfectly exposed and everything was already set up. Dropped the tripod, turned it on, just hit record, rack focus as quickly as I could, and I got it on the beach walking, and then I jumped up, ran up the ridge and parked it again, and then got it slipping into the water. Sliding in. That shot where it's kind of coming up the beach is just, light is so perfect. It's like with the sea spray. Yeah, it looked good, eh? It'd be one of the better shots I got. It would have been sick to know it was coming, because then I could have got stills, like still photos and video. But the shit we shoot on, I can get like screen grabs and stuff. It'll be incredible. It'll go in the book. Yeah. The book's already got like, we've probably got 1,000 photos. We're gonna have to cull down to like 100 to put in the photo book. But I'm gonna send these guys a copy, and I'll give you one too. Yeah, that would be like a proper coffee table book just to page through. I love those kind of books, just to kind of go through all of them. That's for sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, we've been going for over an hour. Jesus. It goes quick, hey? Yeah. How long have we been on for? About an hour and 45. Yeah, really? I can definitely yawn on for like another hour or two. You've done so much shit though. Like, that's what blows my mind, is like, you talk about all of these crazy locations that are like, someone will never see the shit that you've seen. And the places that you've been to and like nearly died, plane crashes in the fucking Amazon jungle, like shit like that, is like how, and you talk about it so casually, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna duck over to Venezuela for a week, and then I'll be back in 10 days, and then I'm gonna duck down to those sort of places. And I guess like you get that from travel too, and you learn about all this like African time and like all of like how different places operate, and a tolerance for all this sort of stuff, and optimism, like. Yeah, for sure. And again, like the other day, but it sometimes it still kind of catches you off guard, especially when I get a little bit too relaxed in the US, because we've spoiled there like big time, and then I get back, and then you arrive in Libreville, and somebody takes your passports and walks away. You're literally like, oh shit, this is the first thing I know you shouldn't do, but like, okay, yeah, well, sure, I can be okay. argue it and end up in African jail. Like, and that's the alternative, right? But that's again, like, I mean, the guys in a lot of the rugby guys have said that before, and I think they say it in that Chasing the Sun, is just like the unique thing about about South Africans is just it's just a special thing about like Africans in South Africa and all that kind of stuff where people are just like, I mean, they just make a plan. Like I said, you just assume things are going to work itself out. Like it's just going to happen, and people just get along and stuff happens.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And like you make lemonade.
Yeah.
And like I tell you what, third world countries are the best for that.
Yeah.
Like those guys, there's like, I don't know, how long are those banana boats? 6 meters, 6.5 meters, something?
Yeah, they are.
Maybe 20 foot, 18, 20 foot, something like that. Banana boats. And they had to get those 2 quad bikes back that got drowned that I just mentioned in the documentary. So they put planks of wood on the fucking boats, pushed the quad bikes down to somewhere where they could get them on the planks, and then next minute they're coming up the lagoon and parking them against the bank and pushing the quad bikes off the planks. Like, they made it work.
Yeah, you assume it's gonna. The funniest thing I don't know if it was a comedian that said it once, but there's like in like Mexico too. Like, so you got the pyramids in Egypt, and everybody's like trying to figure out how those things got built by aliens and all sorts of stuff. And then you've got pyramids the same size, even bigger in Mexico, and everybody's like, yeah, I think the Mexicans did that. That was fine. Just how hardworking that is. You're like, what? You can't figure out who did those, but the Mexicans built those. You're like, okay, well, it says a lot of good things about them. And what I found that is in a lot of these, like whether it be these villages, like, I mean, we were talking to like a tribe chief in the Kaipo tribe in Brazil, where the dude's still talking about how he's got these different bows, about how he was hunting like jaguars with this one, humans with this one. Like, whoa, roll back. You were hunting humans with that bow? And he's like, yeah, because the Spanish came in and they were like trying to keep them away from the gold miners. Like, shit, this sounds like it's pretty recent, but anyway. And then, but those people are all. They've got almost nothing, but they're happy and they're just happy to go with life. I almost sometimes feel bad, like from civilization. Because one of the kids there, we were working on a project too, and we were putting up a drone, and I was like just joking with the guys. I was like trying to film something. I turned back, and one of the kids that's from the Kaipo village had his cell phone also like recording this. He was like even before me. I was like, man, is this a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah.
But like in Mexico, just happy people, and they've got nothing. Like they've got nothing. Maybe just the like less is more at the end of the day. We just kind of get so attached to all the shit we have. But
I tend to agree. People with like no ambition, that'll be happier than we'll ever be.
yeah,
It's pretty crazy that's a thing. And like I have so much respect for these people that do that sort of stuff, like that they're just are so comfortable and that they love where they live and all of that sort of stuff. I think like materialism is toxic as fuck.
Yeah,
you need it for like Western world.
yeah.
And I really like the business side of things and all of that sort of stuff and being able to afford to go around the world and stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's value in that, but it also comes at a price.
Yeah, we can just learn from them theoretically. That's why I said where that connection comes in, to try and be a little bit more. And usually, like I'm a guy that can kind of appreciate my just quiet time and not do stuff. But then you're like, man, I'm missing out on like certain things that I need to get to. So yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, if there's anything, anybody needs to seize the moments. Don't even think about missing an opportunity for stuff. Now, if somebody like with the last shoot in Mexico with Yeti, like 2 weeks at a time, they're like, what are you doing now? I was like, you tell me what I'm doing. I'm going. Whatever it is, just I'm going.
I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. You just say yes and figure it out.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
yeah. Well, the expo we just ran at home, we're like,
Yeah, it's like a whole big ass fucking like expo.
Yeah.
I was like,
Melanie was like, I want to do an expo. And I was like, cool, let's do it. And she's like, oh, how are we going to afford it? I was like, I don't know, just figure it out. Let's just lock in dates and location. We'll figure it out. And
Yeah.
we figured it out. We found the money. Like, whether it was like people paying up front and ticketed system, because we don't have a retail store. So like we funded it through people's tickets, through ticket sales and vendors, footprints and stuff like that.
and when I looked at it on like social media, when you guys were putting that stuff out, it looked like something that's been running for like several years.
Yeah.
Like it looked like a thing. Yeah. Like,
We did it in 2.5 months.
Yeah.
So December 14th or some shit like that, and we had it on March 1st.
no, I can only imagine the logistics of that. I mean, Keith and I did the film tour in South Africa, and that was like months ahead in advance that we had to plan that. And you get the cinema, you get the venue, maybe catering, and that's
Yeah.
it.
It's just,
But
I
that's
think,
big.
yeah, well, I think, and it plays into everything that we've been talking about, is just focus on the outcome.
Yeah.
Like, there's no point getting stressed about what fucks up and what doesn't work and the time frames and all that sort of stuff. Just get it done. Like, focus on what you need to achieve, and then the rest is just noise.
But I can definitely see, I mean, both you guys, the way that you work, you and Carl, is just like, I don't know. It's weird. Like I've noticed myself now too. Like I've gotten through these times where I like really just want to chill, getting like a little bit old manish, and then like when I've had a super productive day, I just feel so much better. You're like on top of the world. You're like, I've got this done, this done, this done, this done. I'm like fucking winner.
It is good.
It's just that feeling. And whereas rather you sit there and you slump around and you page on social media, like, oh, I hate myself.
Yeah, literally.
Get it done.
Yeah, and then you get up in the morning and you haven't fucking packed your shit for the next day, and then you're like, oh, now I got to pack all my shit, and you're rushing around, and it feels terrible. Like there's a reward in suffering.
Yeah.
Suffering can be taken however you want. Yeah, it's interesting. But I think like let's go. What's next for you, man? Like what's cooking in the next say 12 months, 6 to 12 months, or something like that?
There's definitely going to be a busy year. That's why we're trying to puzzle if we can do a few more things. But like from here, I'm going to just be back on the Texas coast guiding. I've got a full season with guiding, and then I'm going to go to Australia, to Vessel Islands, and then what's that area that you see we're going for, the Barrows? With the other boat, because we were flying to Lizard, and then you said
Princess Charlotte Bay.
Yeah, so
Beautiful
we'll be in that area. Super excited to see new stuff there. Super excited to see Josh in Wessels, and then I'll be back guiding again. Then I've got a Greenland trip, which I'm very excited with. This is the first time I'm going to Greenland. I'm going to meet with my wife back up in Iceland. We're very excited to just kind of like spend some quality time together there. Come back, guide. Well, no, actually, I'm going to be right back home. Then we're going to fly to Bolivia. Hopefully, we get to go and smash it all together there.
Yes.
And then come back, guide. After Bolivia, it's Mexico again, and then just in between that guiding, and then I've got Seychelles again right after in the new year. And
nice.
Then so going back to Mongolia. I'm going to go and see go take a group there, and also go to the Eagle Festival. Those just badass people. And then I've got a trip to Bhutan coming up, which I'm excited about. Another just new spots.
Is that Masya?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. That's on my list.
Just kind of trying to tick off, because I know it's also going to be a slog there. We're doing the rafting trip, but yeah, just kind of trying to just tick off some stuff off the bucket list. I wish we could still do this. There's a place here in the Central African Republic that they've been successful in catching Goliath tigers on fly, but it's a long shot and it's a tricky one to get to. But that one's been on the bucket list for a while that I would love to do, but I think the reality of it currently is still very, very low. So I'll just chip away at other stuff, and also just kind of spend a little bit of time with my wife and enjoy that. As much as, and I'm sure again, you guys are all the same. I love all the trips. When I come back home, it's just also awesome just to be with my wife and just do stuff with her. It's awesome.
I didn't value that enough in the past, and it was a detriment of a lot of things in my life where I was just this 24/7.
Yeah.
All I cared about was trying to build this to the point, because everybody said it was going to be borderline impossible to achieve it. So I just pushed super hard for that, and like everything else falls off. But now, like for me to go like fishing, I don't even take a camera, and I'm like, this is the best thing ever. Or just to go with Melanie just for a coffee.
Yeah.
And just you appreciate those just simple moments, and just seeing my daughter when I haven't seen her for weeks. Like I'll see her when I get home there, and she'd be like over the moon, like she hasn't seen me for 10 years. Like those little moments are like so valuable, and you don't realize until you do the stuff that we do, where we're always away slogging our ass off and stuff, and it's those little simple times that have so much value, I think.
And I think I feel like people can argue with me with this all day long, and I know there's maybe girls that require a little bit more attention, but like I still feel like I think that time a little bit away from your significant other can really help you build that relationship in a long time in a positive way, because you're not in each other's space. If you're kind of a little bit independent, like when you're with each other, you appreciate every moment of it, but when you're away, you kind of miss each other, which I think is a good thing. I think if you're in each other's space and you're kind of somewhat independent person, it can get a little tricky. So unfortunately, I've had some friends that's not with their significant other anymore, just because, I don't know, like just things didn't work out. Maybe they just weren't meant to be with each other, but yeah, it's worked out for us.
They have to see your vision.
Yeah.
To a deeper level than just accepting it. They have to like understand why.
Yeah, I could have had a lot of other worse addictions than this, what I'm doing now. And could definitely do a lot worse things.
You're not wrong. Awesome, man.
Cool.
We might wrap it up before we run out of batteries and SD cards and all sorts of things, because we're very limited on equipment.
The one thing I wanted to say, sorry, I just missed it because I was just thinking about it. So what you said also about that, and I just wanted to find out if you were the same. like especially like on the beginning phases, it stretched for me quite a long time within regards to the filming thing. I think you just said it, like about taking camera gear with. The only issue when you really start getting into the filming stuff, it's hard to get out of it, but obsess about missing certain shots. Like I could see where you guys were like not with me the other day with Jack Eats.
That stung, man.
And you start like asking questions. So I know you're thinking about it, but man, fuck, you gotta sometimes realize you can't get it all.
Yeah.
Because that's where you like almost want somebody needs to invent something where you can just like film it through your eyes, just like dish, dish, whatever you see. But until then, you can't get them all.
Yeah, it's one of those things like that hippo, missing that hippo in the surf will haunt me forever. Like it's like to the point where I'm borderline like, because have we got 1 morning or 2 mornings left?
One more tomorrow.
1 more morning, and then we go the next morning.
Yeah.
Early.
I'm not sure how early.
I'm gonna find out how early because like I might be hitting you and up to go for another 6.5K walk. Potentially, like.
But it becomes an obsession. Like,
Man, it is, and to do a good job too, and do right by the people that are looking after you, like yourself and these brands and all that sort of stuff, and like to put that effort in, they notice.
Yeah.
They notice the effort that goes into this sort of shit when you do a good job and you produce something that's quality, and this is more than just like the monetary side of it's just like the thing that's necessity, and it's a transaction that happens over here at the end of things. This, like for me, from like a networking meeting people that like inspire me, like yourself, that I've followed for years, that do cool shit that like inspires me to improve and be better. Meeting like the networking side of it, all of that sort of stuff, going to these cool places, making new friends. Like I've met so many cool people here and like learned so much stuff just in fishing, in life, in locations and all that sort of stuff. And that's shit that will have forever value, that I'll be like, I'm on my deathbed dying of cancer, I can plug a hard drive into the fucking TV in the hospital and I can watch all the shit that I've created and all these podcasts. This is why I do these podcasts.
Yeah.
I've never done a podcast not face to face.
Yeah.
And it's to my detriment because like I could be pumping them out and getting like semi-famous from it and all that sort of stuff. But I refuse to because I get so much value from sitting across the table and actually meeting a person physically.
Yeah.
And I'll always do them face to face, I think.
But that's building it the right way again. I mean, it's tough not to. I mean, maybe when it gets, if it keeps building, I mean, it's going to be tough to keep it, but it's again building that foundation more solid than just like on rocky and just kind of just whacking them out like you're doing it the right way.
Yeah, and then with the risk of becoming irrelevant and stuff in the future. And there's a whole heap of value adds from it anyway.
It's obsession.
It is. It is. Thank you very much for your time, man. A couple more days of fishing and
let's go get it.
This epic film. Cool.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Thank you.